Hey guys, I want to come on here today and not in the normal way of having the intro music and having me say the hey. I don't want to do that today because I want this to grab your attention. And the reason why I want this to grab your attention is because this voicemail that I'm going to play for you was a life-changing voicemail. And I say life-changing, it's, life-changing for the person who sent me this voicemail, but it also somewhat changed me. It changed me in a sense that I don't always realize the impact that I'm making. And I don't think we do. I don't think you do. You might not know the impact that you're making on your family or the impact you're making on your spouse or your loved ones or the people around you. What are you doing this for? And that's why I'm starting this episode like this, because it's emotional for me. When I was in construction way back when, I never thought in a million years I would be here. And I know you're usually showing up to this podcast and many others for strategies and tactics. But this here is life-changing for a lot of people. And what I mean by that is if you understand the reason why you're doing what you're doing, that is a game changer. And also not comparing yourself to other people. I see not just you or anyone else falling prey to this, but I've done it myself. And I try not to, because it's about what makes me happy in my life, what makes you happy in your life. The money is allowing you to do what you want to do. And this voicemail really, really hit home for me. Number one, it was crazy because you don't realize the impact you're making on other people's lives. And even if you're in business and you're selling, certain products to the bass fishing market that we always joke about, it's an incredible thing that you're giving to a lot of these people because they're fishing to probably escape their everyday lives, their 9 to 5, their cubicle, right? So you have to realize that almost every business is either solving a problem or delivering happiness to someone else on the other line or at the other end. So I really want you to listen to this because, it was funny because I reached back out to Dave, who actually posted this, and I asked him if it would be okay. I wasn't expecting, this. And when he shared it with me, it changed my day. It changed today for me. It changed how I approach the mic. And I've had other people come up to me and tell me similar things, but it's just, every story is different. And I want to also encourage you to share your story. Share your story with me. And I would love to hear what has happened since you've been a listener. What kind of impact has the podcast been for you? And you can do that by heading over to theamazingseller.com/story, just as Dave did. And the voicemail that I'm going to play with you, that's where it came from. There's a little audio recorder there that you can record yourself. And he wasn't going to post it either because he didn't want to be vulnerable. He didn't want to show his emotions. But he said, you know what? I'm going to send it because this is real. This is what I'm feeling. And it's life-changing for him and his family. And I just want you to be inspired by it. I want you to be motivated by it. And I want you to also understand that not everything is going to be easy, but if you know what you're doing it for, it makes it a lot easier when things don't work necessarily as planned. And it doesn't mean that you're going to fail, because you won't fail, because you're not going to give up. You aren't, right? We're action takers. That's what we are, right? If you're a listener of this podcast, and if you've been listening for a long time, the reason why you're still around is because of the energy, of the constant get out there and make it happen, and you can do this. And that's the people that I want to connect with. And I understand people are going to show up to this one and maybe X off of this particular episode, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. I really want to connect with the people right now that need this message. You need this message because we all go through those challenging times. All right. So I'm going to play this and I'm going to give you some thoughts on it. And then from there, we're going to wrap this up. But again, I wanted this to be something that hits you today, that might shift something in your mind, or maybe has you think about your approach or where you're going right now and what you're doing it for. All right. So let's listen to this message, and then I'll come back on and give you my final thoughts.
Hi, Scott. This is Dave from Missouri. I found your podcast about 2 years ago, and a few months later, I launched my first product on Amazon. The 2 years since then has been the best time of my life. I turned that one product into a successful brand, and I'm on track for $1 million in sales this year with just 10 SKUs. And I owe a lot of my success to you. Your energy is contagious and helps sellers like me keep going. And especially when the first year is really challenging, learning everything, not really making a profit. Your podcast, listening to that every week was a big help. And I was influenced by how you teach brand building instead of just picking random products, which is what my plan was in the beginning. And you changed my mind about that. I just quit my job a few months ago. I was sitting in a cubicle every day doing tech support, hated it. And today I'm on an island with my wife and my 3 kids. We're spending all summer here. It's beautiful and amazing. And we just made an offer on a house. So we're hoping to move here. Sorry, I got a little choked up. We're going to move here next year. And thank you so much. Keep up the good work. And I will see you in Fort Worth in September. Take care, Scott. Thanks again.
So, yeah, you can see, right, why that is pretty powerful. And I really want to tell Dave that I so appreciate him sharing this. And I actually messaged him back through a voicemail, through an audio message. And I told him how appreciative I was for him being vulnerable and for him allowing himself to open up like that. And sometimes if you say something out loud, it changes things. Or sometimes when you write things down, it changes things. That's why, I do like to use a notebook and write down ideas or write down my feelings or my thoughts. Showing up on this podcast allows me to continually, show up and share my feelings and my thoughts and my randomness or my rants or any of that, right? And I get to do it with you. And again, I want to thank you for allowing me to communicate with you and to somewhat get to know each other. And it's funny, sometimes I'll be in an event. I was just at an event at FlynnCon, at Pat Flynn's event. And I was sitting there and I was, as an attendee would, I'm sitting there and I'm actually taking notes for our upcoming event, Brand Accelerator Live, and getting some ideas. And then I'm also, there as a student, as an attendee. I mean, any successful person will tell you they're always a student. And I was sitting there and I was feeling, you ever feel like someone's staring at you or someone is like looking at you and you kind of look in the, the corner of your eye and then you keep feeling it and you kind of see it. Well, after the session was over, this person came up to me and just kind of put their hand out and said, "Hey, do you mind if I shake your hand? Because I just want to say, like, you changed my life, man." And I'm like, I'm at an event that I didn't think I would be recognized because it's not 100% my audience. There's a little bit of crossover, but his event was about 300 people. And I'm like, it's a big world out there. And even to this day, it doesn't feel as though I've reached that many people, even though, the podcast has had over 14 million downloads to date and, thousands of people are listening. And it's awesome. I feel like still that kid in high school that was wondering what the heck he was going to do with his life. And now here we are 20 plus years later and been through, a lot of different things in my life, a lot of great things, a lot of hard things. But to hear that and have someone look at you in the eye, it's freaking powerful. And it just, again, made me realize, like, Scott, this is why you do what you do. And Scott, believe in yourself. Like, I still have like self-doubts, guys. And anyone that tells you they don't, they're lying. I think everyone will always have that. It's just, we've, learned how to get through those moments or how to surround ourselves with other people that are going to remind us of our superpowers or our things that we don't really give ourselves credit for. We need those people in our lives. Again, another reason why attending events is huge with the right people in the room. And that's why we've created Brand Accelerator Live. So a little shameless plug for that. If you haven't grabbed your ticket, I would love to see you there, because these events and these people that you can be connected with are, part of your journey, and it can make a huge shift in your thinking and in your business and in your connections. I can always trace it back. Like, there's always certain things that made an impact on my life. And now being able to have this ripple effect, but I want you to think about your own life. And I want you to think about, like what Dave shared, what he's doing right now is life changing for him and his family. Now, I didn't do that. All I did was spark the interest and maybe guide it a little bit and maybe gave a kick in the butt every now and then. We all need that, right? But you need to think about, what is it that you want? He wanted to get out of that 9 to 5. He wanted to get out of the cubicle, right? He wanted to spend time with his 3 kids and his wife. And that's why I think he got choked up. I was thinking about that the other day. I'm thinking about what I'm going to be presenting at Brand Accelerator Live. And I want it to be amazing. I want my sessions to be amazing, but I also want it to be something that is so powerful that people leave and go, holy crap, my life was changed. Like, my life was changed because now just that one little shift, right? And the one thing I was thinking about talking about, and I haven't said this to anybody right now, so I'm going to give it to you guys for the first time. But what I was thinking about was, man, if I never took a risk with my wife, who is encouraging me, if I didn't take that chance to leave my father's construction company when I was 27 years old, something like that, if I didn't take that chance, I could still be working either for myself, but as a contractor, which I would have had no time. And then working for my father, I didn't have much time, but had a little bit more that I'd possibly be able to get out by 6 o'clock at night. But I never would have been able to coach my son. I never would have been able to coach him from T-ball all the way up till he was 16 years old, until, from there he went into high school ball and just, higher level stuff that I backed off, right? Even if I didn't coach him, I would have been able to sit there and watch the games. But if I didn't make that one thing happen where I could work for myself, as my wife and I started our photography business. And if you guys have listened to a lot of our episodes here, then you know that story. But if I never did that, I would regret that right now. As I'm sitting here right now, whether I'm recording this episode or not, I don't know where I would be. But if I never made that one decision, that one leap of faith, if I never did it, I would have missed that. I would not feel good about myself right now that I missed that, because I would feel like, you know what? You took the easy way out. That's me personally. I'm not saying that's you, right? Dave, I think, has a lot of what I have in me, and it's family, and it's not missing out on those events or those moments. Now, I recently talked to someone at Pat Flynn's event, and I'm not going to mention any names, someone that is pretty well known in our community, in our market. And I had a conversation with him, and I mentioned this, that, I don't want to build $100 million company. That's not my goal. To some people, it's like, hey, look at me, this is what I did. And it's a sense of accomplishment. And there's all reasons on why you want that and need that. We all need certain things to fulfill us, right? And I mentioned this, like, if it was going to cost me to miss 50% of my son's games, it still wouldn't be worth it. And his response was that it would be totally worth it for me to miss half. I'd be okay. If I gave 50% and if I was there present for 50%, I can miss 50%. And that's okay for that person. For me, not me. I would regret that. I would feel like right now, I feel that if I miss something really small, my daughter's volleyball practice, right? If I miss that, I'll feel, oh man, I should have seen it, right? And some people would say, well, you don't have to see maybe so. I enjoy it. It actually gets me out of the business mode, right? That's my relaxation. That's my enjoyment. And then I'm also being able to see my kids. Because something that Stu McLaren said at Pat's event, he said, realize this, you have 18 summers with your kids. And that's about it. Think about that. 18 summers. That's all we have. Now, some parents would be like, great, then I can go ahead and get them out of the house. I don't think like that. I want my kids to grow. I want my kids to leave the nest, but I also want to cherish those 18 summers, right? Think about that. I mean, time is so precious. And, I'm just kind of rambling here. But this is what this message did for me. It made me reflect on my life. It made me reflect on what I'm doing. Why am I doing this? Why am I showing up? Why am I at 711 episodes on this podcast? It's funny too. I'm going to bring this up. I get positive reviews. I get, negative reviews. We all do, right? You have haters, whatever. And I've had some that review the podcast that goes, Scott, it's nothing but a sales pitch, right? The only thing that I guess you could say I sold you today, which I didn't even sell you, is I mentioned Brand Accelerator Live. So am I selling you? Am I pitching the event? Yeah, I think it's going to be an awesome event. I think it would be life-changing. So why wouldn't I mention that? But to some people, you shouldn't even do that. Well, again, that's not my people, right? And I don't think that's you. If you're listening this long into this episode, I think you get it. I think we connect. And again, I'm not trying to be, the next Tony Robbins. I'm trying to go out there and help as many people as I can, but the right people, the people that I gel with, right? And what's going to fulfill me, right? And the same thing goes for you. What's going to fulfill you? If you want to build that $100 million company because that's going to allow you to feel satisfied, go for it. I want you to be able to go out there and get what you want, but get it for the right reasons. That's the only thing I would question, right? I would question, why do you want that, right? Like, is that going to satisfy you? And if it is, go for it. But you need to know what that is. What is it ultimately that you want? Do you want just recognition? Do you want someone to say, oh, you did that, you're awesome, right? Or do you want it because you're going to be building this company of $100 million in revenue because you're going to be also impacting the world and building schools in other countries, right? Like, I can get behind that, right? But if you're just doing it primarily to say that you built a $100 million company, I don't know. Maybe that's the right reason for you, but it wouldn't be for me. That's all. So anyway, getting a little long-winded here. I did want to share this with you because I thought it was really powerful for me, also for Dave. And I also just wanted to say that I was so happy that at the very end of that voicemail, he goes, oh, and by the way, I'm going to be at Brand Accelerator Live. I was like, oh my gosh, like, these are my people. Like, that's who I want to be at this event, is people like Dave. And it's funny, like, when you put out content like this right here, even this piece that we're doing today, like this right here is something that will attract the right people into my world, right? If you resonate with this, then we gel, right? And that's what I want, right? I want to be able to hang out with those types of people because we're all kind of going after the same thing. And that's, we want impact in the world. We want time with our loved ones. We want to make a difference, and we want to enjoy what we're doing. Bottom line, right? We have a very limited amount of time on earth, and why not make the best of it, right? So anyway, if you have a story that you want to share with me, I would love to hear it. And all you have to do is go to theamazingseller.com/story, and you can record your voice message there. Please leave your name and just tell me your story. I'd love to hear it. I want to connect with more of you. And I will probably even reach out with an audio message back to you after you've submitted that story. And if you could go back a couple years, 2-3 years, if you've been listening to the podcast, and maybe just let me know, what is something that shifted for you? What is the thing that made you, maybe think a little bit differently, or maybe try something to see if you like it or not, and then what was the result, and where did that put you? Because I think everything we do, it doesn't, everyone looks at that as a success. Like, I launched a product and it made a lot of money, or I launched a product and I learned a ton, and now I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to do this, right? Like, so there's a lot of other benefits that come from it. All right. So I'd love to hear your story. And again, I want to thank Dave for sharing that. And if you guys are going to be at Brand Accelerator Live, well, you can probably go up to Dave and shake his hand and, probably share some stories, I'm sure. And I'm probably going to highlight Dave at the event. and just, again, give him another shout out because he's amazing. It sounds like he's got an amazing family, and I just really, really appreciate him sharing this. So guys, let's kick this up a notch now because Scott doesn't usually bring down the energy. This episode was a little bit more emotional. Let's kick it back up a notch. What do you say? Guys, as always, remember, I'm here for you, I believe in you, and I am rooting for you. But you have to, come on, say it with me, say it loud, say it proud, take action. Have an awesome, amazing day, and I'll see you right back here on the next episode.